Hello, and welcome to another edition of BeaverFinance. I'm your host, Robert D. Anderson. In today's video, we're here to talk about the ultimate debate around investing in retirement in Canada. You guessed it, the TFSA versus RRSP debate. So, in today's video, we got a tax-free savings account and registered retirement savings plan guide, the ultimate comparison, RSP versus tax-free savings account. You won't want to miss this video. So let's jump right in. So this is part 3 of our RSP and TFSA series. In our first video, we talked about what is a tax-free savings account and what is an RRSP. So, and then in our second video, we took a deeper dive into tax-free savings accounts and registered retirement savings plans. So if you missed either of those videos, you can go back and watch them after this video. But for the sake of this comparison, we want to make sure that we do take a deep dive and compare them head to head, so you can help decide, okay, do I want to use a tax-free savings account? Do I want to use an RSP? What does this mean for me? So first, we want to compare contributions. So a contribution to a tax-free savings account is done with after-tax dollars. So what that means is when you receive your paycheck, your employer would have already deducted and remitted and sent your tax owing to the government. So what's left over, you are able to spend and subsequently contribute to your tax-free savings account. Now, how does that compare to the RSP? So with a registered retirement savings plan, contributions are made with pre-tax dollars. So how does that differ? Well, what that means is you make contributions to the RSP and then you receive a subsequent tax deduction for those contributions, meaning you get your tax money back. So depending on your tax rate and what you do with that tax return can give you a really good advantage, especially if you have time on your hands, depending on your age too. So if you've only got 5 or 10 years, the impact might not be that great. However, if you don't have a lot of savings, the impact still might be large because you'll be in a much lower tax bracket in retirement. It is a little situational. However, more money can be used today to make you more money with an RSP. So that's contributions. Now, what about growth? Well, with a tax-free savings account, growth is tax sheltered, meaning you won't pay tax on growth within reason. Now, in an RSP, that money does grow tax-free as well. However, it's tax-deferred growth. So that's where the two accounts differ. So any growth, you won't be taxed year over year in your RSP, but it's taxed on withdrawal. So, pros and cons to that. So, but that does lead us into our next point. So how does these accounts compare on withdrawal? So tax-free savings account, when you withdraw money, that is tax-free. Now, one nice thing about a tax-free savings account is if you do make a withdrawal, the subsequent calendar year on January 1, your contribution room resets. And you get that contribution room back, meaning you can put that money back in your tax-free savings account. Now, with an RSP, withdrawals can be made. However, there is tax withholding. So we'll leave a link in the description below on RSP withdrawals. But you also lose that contribution room forever. So you'd have to earn more income to earn more contribution room for your RSP. However, if you do have previous RSP room, theoretically you could contribute that money back to your RRSP, but you aren't gaining back your total contribution room. So keep that in mind with withdrawals. So limits. So both registered accounts have limits. With a tax-free savings account, that limit is evaluated on an annual basis, and every Canadian receives a tax-free savings account increase every year. If you were at least 18 years old in 2009, you would have the maximum contribution room. So I'll leave a link in the description on limits for TFSAs. However, one pro for tax-free savings accounts is you don't have to earn income to earn TFSA room. So if your spouse is the sole income earner or earns more and is able to contribute, theoretically you could take your joint cash and subsequently contribute that to your TFSA as well. So that's something that's great about tax-free savings accounts. Whereas in RRSP, those limits are based off of 18% of your income up to a maximum. And depending on when you started working, you started accumulating RRSP room. So that's why it's important when you first get your first job is start filing an annual income tax statement. So that's important. So next, we want to cover the purpose of each fund. So the purpose of a tax-free savings account is really to help you save or invest. It can be used, as we talked about in our previous video, for emergency funds, for down payments, for other savings. You can trade stocks or ETFs. You can invest in mutual funds, save for retirement. It can be used for all those purposes all at once, and have your subsequent investments, cash, stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, all in the same account even. So it's very versatile. Now the RRSP, it really is geared for retirement. However, there are two programs that allow you to withdraw before you reach retirement age. So that is the RRSP Homebuyers Plan. That we do have a subsequent video that you can watch after this on that program. Allows you to withdraw money for a down payment. So go check that out after this. And secondly, the government also has the RRSP Lifelong Learning Plan. So that can also be used to withdraw money if you're going back to school. So we also, of course, have a video on the RRSP Lifelong Learning Plan. So you can check out that video on our YouTube page as well. So next, we want to talk about foreign tax withholding. So that's something that we talked about in our last RRSP series video. And with a tax-free savings account or a non-registered account, any dividends from the US have a foreign withholding tax. So that is something that if you are going to hold those securities or investments, you want to hold those actually in your RRSP. So this is an advantage to the RRSP. Now, tax-free savings accounts could be added to future tax treaties with the US. That's a possibility. So that might change in the future. But as of right now, asset location, so meaning where you hold various investments and in which accounts, any US investments, look to the RRSP first when setting up your asset allocation or your investment strategy. And then next, obviously, we've covered the various different investments. Both accounts, are similar here in the sense that, you can hold any stocks, bonds, ETFs, mutual funds, REITs, and many other different investments. So here, there's no real advantage either way in terms of the different types of investments. So bonus material. If you've seen any of our previous videos, you know we always try to include a bonus tip for you. So our bonus tip for you today is tax now or tax later? That's the question. If you really are considering RSP or TFSA, why not consider both? So what do I mean by tax now or tax later? Well, that refers to, do you pay the tax now, it's your income tax, and contribute to the tax-free savings account, so that down the road you don't have to pay any tax in retirement, is one way of looking at it. Or the other way, if you pay tax now, or if you don't pay tax now by contributing to your RSP, you will pay tax later. However, if you have time on your side and you can use that tax return that the RSP contribution generates to earn more money, you may actually be better off. So that is something you should consider. Obviously, the most ideal situation is to be able to do both. Obviously, there are a lot of Canadians that do max out both accounts, believe it or not. So it is possible. Obviously, if you aren't one, you could still do a little of both. There are advantages to doing both. It gives you some flexibility in case you do need funds. It also can minimize your tax rate in retirement, and the contributions now, to at least the RSP portion, can then be used to further improve your financial situation today, either by investing in more assets, paying down debt, mortgage, you name it. So you might be wondering, okay, how do I use my RSP and tax-free savings account? Well, if you haven't seen my other videos, I use my RSP for the sole purposes of long-term growth. I invest in predominantly US and global growth mutual funds. My sole objective is at least 10% growth. If I can't do that each year, my goal is certainly to average that or higher, which currently I'm either on track or ahead right now. So I'm happy with that. Also, I do contribute bi-weekly. So I do dollar cost average. So if we do see a retreat in the markets or a downturn, I am going to be purchasing and lowering my average cost of the units in those funds. So I am comfortable, obviously, with that risk and that potential to hopefully add to my positions at that time. Now, my tax-free savings account, I do use it for many different purposes. I do have money in money market, which is essentially cash earning a little bit of interest. That's my sinking fund. I use it for planned annual expenses, so like golf and a few other expenses I have every year. I also put at least 50% of that, my contributions that is, into a balanced fund. So that would be a mutual fund with 60% equity exposure or stocks and 40% bonds or fixed income. I do earn a pretty decent return on that, and it beats current interest rates, obviously. That's money that I might need in the next 3 to 7 years, so I can take that little more risk. And then with my dollar cost averaging, if it goes down, I can lower my cost per unit and quickly recover. I do have decent gains to cover any downturns, most likely. And then that brings me to the final point of my TFSA is then for retirement. So I do have 2 funds that are long-term positions that I add to every month, probably 25% of my contributions, and that would be predominantly high growth areas because I do have at least 30 years into retirement. So that's how I use my RRSP. Now, if you want to watch our full video on RRSPs next, you can visit our YouTube page and check out our videos on RRSPs. If you like this video and you got a lot of value, please like the video and subscribe. That way you'll get notified on future videos. We got a lot of great content coming out for you soon, so do stay tuned. Question of the day. Let us know if you were on Team RRSP or Team TFSA, or it's okay if you like both. Either way, let us know your experience and your preference in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at BeaverFinance. And you can stay connected. We got a lot of daily content coming out. And then thanks for watching this video. We hope you learned a lot on RRSPs and tax-free savings accounts. And thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.